Um, I'm the president, so I serve as the president of the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria. And I want to welcome you all. And I want to let you know that you did not make a mistake joining this program. You'll find it very rewarding, and it's one of the best professions you can find in this is talking about climate change, climate mitigation, climate adaptation, green economy, fossil fuel. Everything has become green. And the landscape architect is in the middle of all of these things. Yes, can you hear me?
So we would like to see your face. Proceed.
Hello?
We would like to see your face. See. We are not seeing you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Please turn on your camera and position it. Yes.
Okay, here's my face. I'm using my tablet.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. So this is my face. This is the face behind SLAN.
Yes.
So, okay. So like I was saying, did you get me up to the part where I spoke about the best time to become landscape architects? Did you catch that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I now further said that landscape architecture is in the middle of all of these things that I mentioned: climate change, adaptation, fossil fuel, carbon sequestration, all of those things. Now, you are here at a very good time because landscape architects are no longer looking for jobs. People are now looking for us. All right? So you are here at a very good time. Now, what makes landscape architecture unique in Nigeria is the sense that we do not have, until now, we do not have a BLA program or undergraduate program. So everybody came into landscape architecture from master's level or PhD level, meaning that everybody came with their own background, with their own perception or perspective of what landscape architecture should be all about. Dr. Adesina is an architect. I am an urban planner by background. We have botanists, we have ecologists, we have agriculturists, we have artists. We even have nurses that are landscape architecture. So landscape architecture is not limited to architecture. Now, why I'm saying this is because when you get into the field, you find out that when an urban planner is involved in a landscape project, he sees the landscape project on a larger scale, which is the regional scale. When an architect is involved in a landscape project, he sees the landscape project on a more micro scale based on his orientation. Now, many of you think that landscape architecture is about plants. It's not really 100% true. Now, landscape architecture has a lot to do with ecology, right? So now you have people like the botanists, you have people like the horticulturists, who their primary forte is plants. So when those kind of guys come and join us in the landscape architecture profession, you see that their own input is more on plants, more on flowers, more on vegetation, and bio. So landscape architecture is multidisciplinary. You should have that at the back of your mind. Now, for most of you that are architects who have been designing buildings, who have been involved in construction, there's also another part of landscape architecture that has that niche, which is the landscape construction. Remember from the definition of landscape architecture has to do with everything that is outside the building, right? But now, the new definition of landscape architecture now includes landscape architecture as being part of the building, meaning that if you walk into the Senate building, you have an atrium. Your faculty also has an atrium. So the landscape architect is also involved in the indoor spaces of your buildings. So landscape construction is also a micro element in landscape architecture that architects that are more structurally inclined or more design inclined can also be in those areas. So given that background, I also want to tell you what the Society of Landscape Architects is about, what we do, and what constitutes us. Now, the body that governs you guys now is the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria. Now, you know, for architects, you have the Nigerian Institute of Architects. For engineers, you have the Nigerian Society of Engineers. For medical doctors, you have the dental, medical, I think it's, can't remember what it's called, but everybody has an organization that oversees the profession academically and also in practice. Now, we're headquartered in Abuja. Our office is in Gariki, Abuja, and it was first instituted in 1984, and it used to be called the Institute of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, way back as 1984. But the problem was that there were no universities offering landscape architecture in Nigeria, right? Most of the people that were landscape architects schooled overseas, primarily America and in Europe. They came together, formed the association, but over time we had a lot of political upheavals and the profession did not see the light of day. Back and forth, members of the society kept trying to get government recognition and nothing really happened until 2003. Now in 2003, the society rebranded and now changed the name from Institute of Landscape Architects of Nigeria to become the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, SLAN, which is what you know today. Now, SLAN currently does not have a regulatory body, right? When I say regulatory body, remember where I started, I said the Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria is similar to the Nigerian Institute of Architects and the Nigerian Society of Engineers. That's a separate body. Now, for every professional body, there's also supposed to be a regulatory council, right? Which is, for the engineers, you've heard of COREN, Council of Regulatory Engineers of Nigeria. For architects, there's the Architect Registration Council, which is ARCON. So SLAN does not have a regulatory body yet, which is why we're excited about you guys being in this studio, because you're going to join the army, you know, when you come out, for us to be able to get a regulation. Now, in recent years, in the last 2 years, we've been able to get to the National Assembly, we've been able to see the president, and we've been able to have our acts curated in the National Assembly. Now, we are the second reading of the National Assembly, then we had a little hiccup. Now, the hiccup is this present class, like you mentioned, you have different people that constitute who a landscape architect is. Now, based on the ARCON Act, ARCON can only register architects who studied architecture. Now, if you study landscape architecture, we have different backgrounds, and so this has affected how, you know, we regulate landscape architecture in Nigeria. Okay, so that's that about the society. Now, the society currently we have over 170 members, you know, and most of what we do now is advocacy. Like what I'm trying to do now, to let people see that landscape architecture is not about gardening, it's not about planting. You know, it has a lot to do with anything that can solve global warming issues, you know, ecological problems, and all of that. Now, what else? Currently, besides your school is the only school that has the BLA program, which is starting from 100 level. Most of the other schools are postgraduate level, which is the APU Zaria, which has the same master's program, and it has a postgraduate diploma in landscape architecture program. So they run two programs, the same tenure with yours. Then currently, there's the Benue State University, which incidentally started about 2 months ago with a BLA program in landscape architecture. All right, I can't give you a data of the number of students now, but at my last count, there were about 3 students in that pioneer class. Then we have the Bingham University, also offering landscape architecture, which is a private university in Nasarawa State. All right, but as at today, we don't have any students enrolled into that program. Then Futakure, very recently also inaugurated the landscape architecture program, you know, to start from the BLA program. 3 other universities have also joined, which is the Federal University of Minna, Niger State, Federal University of Technology, Owerri. But these universities have not formally inaugurated the departments. So that is, in a nutshell, that is what the Society of Landscape Architecture is about. It is what we are doing. We are advocating for more schools, and we're trying to get government recognition for the profession. Thank you. If you have questions, or there's something I didn't mention, but there's a direction you want me to take, please.
Thank you.
Let me help. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dr. Amos, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir, for this prior speech. Now, the student will have some questions. However, I also need to state clearly here that Professor Nezi Oduma is aware.
Sorry, you're not audible.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello, Dr. Additional.
Can you hear me right now? All right.
Yes,
so
I can.
I'm saying that the current head of department here, Dr. Nezi Oduma, she's aware of this meeting. And right now, the student will be asking some questions about how they can become student member and how they can be part of what SLAN is currently doing. So as the president of Society of Landscape Architects of Nigeria, I want to leave the floor open to the students. They are here. Like I said before, some of them are from the URP background, some are architects, but then they want to hear from you how they can become student members and how they can be part of the current projects that we are currently, having in SLAN. And you can also share some of these projects with them, per se. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so presently, SLAN has 5 categories of memberships, like every Nigerian professional body as stated in the Nigerian Constitution, which is the fellowship category, which is for members that have spent over 10 years and have done significant contribution to the profession, either by the academia or in practice. Then we have the full membership category for members who have graduated from landscape architecture, have spent 2 years of tutelage. They are the full membership category. We also have the associate member category, which is something that we're actually working on now, which is for other allied professionals who probably have a portfolio of landscape architecture jobs, landscape architecture, research work. All right. Then we have the student member category. We have the technicians. Sorry, I missed that. We call them technicians rather than technologists because we're trying to form a unique niche in landscape architecture. Now, these guys are the guys that graduated mainly from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria because they have a diploma, and you know that the way the NDT has structured the polytechnic education, the technologists are supposed to support the university graduates. So we have the landscape technicians. So the people that are qualified for this category are those that graduated from ABU Zaria or somebody else that has a technical degree in landscape architecture. All right. Then we have the student member category. Now, for a very long time, we've had issues with the students category because, like every other professional, when you say students, everybody expects that the students are between 100 level to 400 or 100 level to 500. The landscape architecture is unique in the sense that the student category are for members that are MSc and PGDLE. All right. So we have that category, which most of you in this class belong to. So application is very simple. The application is 10,000 naira to become a member. All right. And you will be issued your certificate of membership. All this, your admission letter, proof that you're a student of the University of Lagos or wherever it is that you're domiciled studying. And the secretariat, I would drop the details with Dr. Additional. Send your details to the secretariat and you have that documentation, have yourself registered. Now they ask, what are the benefits of being a student member of SLAN? There are a lot of benefits. There's something about being a pioneer. You cannot take away from being a pioneer because, for you to become a full member of SLAN after your MLE, it makes your progression easier. And you're not going to have to go through the rigor of writing exams or all of these things because we are not there yet. Like I mentioned, we do not have a regulatory body. That's one. Two, in 2027, Nigeria is hosting Africa, all right? And we're hosting IFLA Africa. We usually have regional conferences. The last one was held in South Africa, all right? So in that conference, you're also going to have debates for conference fees and all of those freebies that come with being part of the National Association. Now, for projects, we have a few projects that we've been involved in. The most recent one is we're developing a park in Abuja, which was recently demolished. It was actually supposed to be an ecological park, where it was a study. It was a study in the site, a case study site for landscape architects that I did not. I will send Dr. Adijino some of the pictures. And if you're on LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's actually on my LinkedIn profile. Controversial anyway, but that's one of the projects that we're able to achieve. And the whole idea was to show building architects, to show urban planners why our profession is different and the kind of things that we consider before we go into design. Because we actually had an environmental impact assessment and a landscape impact assessment, which is different from every other thing that the built environment knows, because we considered the vegetation, we considered the biodiversity of the place, we even considered the kind of animals that we find, within that location, birds, insects, and things like that. So that's one of the things. But one of the projects that we are very interested in, and we need a lot of you guys to be part of, is the advocate, which is who landscape architects are, what we do, why we're different from the gardeners, why we're different from the horticulturists, and how we can solve landscape problems without dwelling heavily on concrete. That kind of advocacy is what we're on. And now that I've met you guys, we could also set up a club and an advocacy, unit in the University of Lagos, where you can begin to have publications and have a few of you speak about the profession from the landscape architect's prism or paradigm. So straightforward, like I mentioned, you apply, you send your credentials, there will be a biodata form, a Google Sheet form sent to you from the Secretariat, fill out your details, attach your admission letter, and you pay the subscription fee, which is 10,000 naira, directly to SLAN IFLA account, and the rest is pretty straightforward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Right.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
So, the question is, are there career development programs organized by the association? Maybe
I didn't catch that.
Are there career development programs organized by the association?
Okay, no, we do not have career development programs, but we have mentorship programs. For a while, Lagos hasn't been active because a lot of the landscape architects in Lagos are not resident in Lagos. But like in Abuja, we have an active chapter where senior landscape architects try to educate younger landscape architects about the profession, what they should do, areas of specialization, and things like that. So officially, we do not. But now that you have this interest, we could start it in Lagos. We could tinker it with Dr. Additional and see how we can make that happen. Thank you. But I've noted it. Please ask as many questions as possible. The floor is open.
Question.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is,
Good afternoon.
can you please enlighten us on the opportunities, career opportunities that we can look into while they are even students and after our studies?
Okay. This is a very very valid question, and I'm going to respond to this question as a Nigerian and as a Nigerian student. Now, when people ask, like when you were in 100 level, if you remember, they told you could work anywhere as an architect. You graduated and you found out that, look, this is actually not, this is not the case, or this is not attainable. Now, landscape architecture is wide, very, very wide. In fact, there's a study that says that landscape architecture is as wide as medical sciences. My core area of landscape architecture is therapeutic landscape. I design landscapes for hospital spaces because I'm passionate about healthy living. All right. Now, from the word therapeutic, it has to do with therapy. Landscapes that heal people from ailments, cancer, and all of those kind of things. So what I would advise, because a lot of times we wait till we graduate from school before we begin to decide what area of specialization we want to do. Now that you are in this studio, you're in this class, you're supposed to be able to identify what your strength is. For example, if you are interested in medicine, there's an area of landscape architecture that has to do with wellness, which also involves a little bit of agriculture, which is the kind of plants to plant, where to put them in your residential landscape. If you have allergies, you cannot put pepper in your garden and all of those kind of things. So there's that area. There's also the area, like I mentioned, if you're into construction, you align yourself towards things that have to do with landscape construction. If you're thinking about ecological problems, or you're thinking about insects, for example, you have a problem with mosquitoes, just like those hostels that are close to the lagoon. Also, you also have people that are also invested in that area, mitigation of insects or all of that. So what I'm just trying to say in a nutshell is, know what your strength is. It is now in this class. You could also write it down. You can send it to Dr. Additional. I will help you, guide you towards where you think this interest should be. Now, where do landscape architects work? To be honest with you, since I got out of school in 2006, landscape architects do not, because we do not have a regulatory body, there is no place in the federal government cadre that employs landscape architects. You're either employed as an architect / landscape architect, or urban planner / landscape architect. But the vista, the window where most of us work, is with the United Nations, to be honest with you, because they're the ones that actually see, they're the ones that value this thing everybody's talking about, sustainability. If there's somebody that is very interested in NGOs, that is one place that you can be sure that with your landscape architecture degree, you can find a place, you can find money in your pocket. But for the federal government employment, you will not find the landscape architects there yet. It's something that we're still getting to. All right. Answer your question, or there's still a party?
Yes, I.
There's a party. Okay.
So, more questions from the architects. Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Awan.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I studied architecture first degree. So my questions are, sir, for somebody to become a registered member of landscape architect, what are the requirements? For example, like can somebody study other courses and come back to the School of Architecture, have his master's in landscape architecture, then after that, can such person be registered or be called, after registration, can the person be registered or be allowed to register as a landscape architect if the person did not have a first degree in either in architecture or in landscape architecture? Maybe he did other courses and come into Faculty of Architecture and had his master's in landscape architecture. Can such person be registered as a landscape architect?
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So if you go back to my introduction, I mentioned that most of all the landscape architects that you know do not have a first degree in landscape architecture. Dr. Additional is an architect. I'm an urban planner, and we have, different professionals. So what made us, or what makes us a landscape architect, is having an MSc, an MLA in landscape architecture. Now, this window is only open for the next 3 or 4 years. Why? Because by the time the BLA students begin to graduate after 4 years, they become the original landscape architect because they started from 100 level. Do you catch my drift? So that is it. So what that means is, with your MLA degree, for now, for this window, you are eligible to register as a landscape architect or be called a landscape architect. Now, in a few months, we are going to begin to write exams, to properly certify you as a landscape architect with our registration council. For now, we do not have a registration council. So what your question is saying is, as long as you have an MSc or an MLA in landscape architecture, you can be registered as a landscape architect in Nigeria as at today.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate your time. Initially I asked for 20 minutes. Now, Presi, you've gone about 31 minutes. We want to appreciate you for your time. And then we hope that you come to Unilag one of these days. We will invite you and pay your flights over here so that we can meet, have a chat, have a direct chat with you one-on-one. But then, are there other questions? All right. Thank you, Presi. We hope to see you here in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You too. Bye.
Bye.